What up, YouTube? It's me, Isaac, coming to you with another edition of my life. So, as I stated in a couple of my videos, my next couple of videos are going to be Stephen King retrospectives. This is going to be a 4-part retrospective, and you can guess which movie I am going to be doing or in this case, movies I'm going to be doing a retrospective on. Also going to critique Stephen King's book adaptation of it. So the 4 parts of this retrospective are going to be my thoughts on the book, my thoughts on the miniseries, my thoughts on chapter 1, my thoughts on chapter 2, and then maybe my ending thoughts on the entire it verse, as I call it, even though it's all the one Stephen King universe. But I digress. And a little bit of a theory that I'm working on that I will not be doing completely, just giving you guys snippets in my leading up to the video, which that's going to be sprinkled out throughout this video. So my thoughts on the book are, it's like 1,100 to 1,200 pages, and it starts off very, 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 very slowly. And then they all meet up as kids, which then it gets better from there. Then they all take on the clown, which the clown works into my theory, but I'll leave a pin in that for now. But yeah. So the book's like I said, I think it's like close to 1,200 pages, but it's very slow to start out, and then it picks up when they're getting ready to go into the sewer, which is really weird because it's got like several different perspectives from several different people, because there's 7 people involved plus the clown, so I guess 8 people involved in the book. And like I said, it's slow to start out. It picks up like, I don't know, 100 pages into where they actually get to meeting everybody, which is crazy that 100 pages into a book, your main characters are just now meeting, and the other 99 pages had just been perspectives from the Lucky 7. From what I can recall, it's been years since I read that book. And like I said, the book's just really, really weird. And whenever I try to pick it up, I have to remember what I'm getting myself into, because I love the miniseries, and I love It Chapter 1 and It Chapter 2, but the book is just such a slog to get through. Oh my lord. And it doesn't even get any better halfway through, which, if you know the scene, you know the scene. Which, every time I even remotely pick up it, I gotta remember one thing, and one thing clearly. Skip that ending scene in the sewer. If you know, you know, and I don't know what the H. King was thinking when he wrote that. Oh my God. It is very cringy. There are several parts in several King books that I tend to think, what the F was he thinking? But that statement is ever clear in my mind whenever I think of Stephen King's novelization of it. Because the middle of it, if you know, you know. And I'm always thinking every time I pick up the book, what the actual was he thinking? And now that I've gotten on my rants about the book done and over with, the ending of the book is just, actually, I don't even remember if I actually finished, because every time I read it, it's slow to get into, and I just go straight to the ending without reading that middle part, because, like I said, if you know, you know, that middle part is what the crap. And so, yeah, so every time I read it, I skip a bunch of it because it's slow and I wouldn't say it's painful to get into reading, but I just prefer the movie version, the miniseries and chapter 1 and chapter 2 over the book, because it's a bunch of, I do love the book, but I just don't read it as often as I would, say, something like the Harry Potter series, because it's slow to get into. It's like a slow burn book, and it's like I said, 12 to 1400 pages, maybe even just 11 to 1200 pages. And it's just really weird to think all that stuff. And I can see why so I've done my points on the book. And I will probably try to pick up a copy of the book next time I'm at the library if I get a chance. I think I'll need a lot longer than the 2 weeks they give me to read it, if I even decide to read it again, because, like I said, it's a slog to get through, and all the print is, I'm not that good at reading small print books, which sucks. But yeah, that's neither here nor there. But yeah, so in the miniseries, the clown is played by Tim Curry, who is in Home Alone 2, which, now that I think about it, so is somebody in politics at this point in time. But that's neither here nor there. And so yeah, that is kind of funny that the clown ends up playing the concierge in Home Alone 2, which I wonder which role he regretted more. But that's neither here nor there, because I absolutely love the It miniseries. I do remember the first time I watched the It miniseries with my brother was on our way to Texas, and my uncle asked me if I wanted to go out for a walk to get some fresh air while my mom and dad and my brother unpack. I say, sure. But in my head, I'm like, okay, where's the closest storm drain so I don't scream? Which, that plan did not work out for me, because as soon as we went over a storm drain, that part of the It miniseries was lodged in my brain, and I screamed like a little chicken. And I didn't pick up the It miniseries again until we were in Florida, like 2 years later, after my aunt explained to me that it was about friendship and people coming together and all that stuff, which I have always thanked my aunt for explaining that to me. I honestly do not know what my brother was thinking when he suggested we watch that on the way down. But that was my thoughts on it, the miniseries, although I do still have thoughts on the second part of the miniseries, which my thoughts about the final villain of the miniseries being a giant spider are it's just wacky. I get they did that for time constraints and whatnot, and the fact that in the book they the final its final form back when they were kids was a spider, but that's just because I think that's how they all perceived it, as a spider, which I can clearly understand because spiders are downright creepy as all holy hell, just like clowns. And now for my thoughts on It Chapter 1 and Chapter 2. It Chapter 1 starts out the same way that the It miniseries started out. Well, kinda. Because it does start out with Georgie meeting the clown, but it also has a little bit more lead up to that, but go watch it, Chapter 2. I'm not going to go spoil it entirely. Which, I mean, Chapter 1, not Chapter 2, but y'all know what I meant. And so, the big difference between the sewer scene in the miniseries and the sewer scene in the in Chapter 1 is the fact that due to it being a theatrical release versus TV release, they were allowed to show a lot more, which they did show a lot more. You need to go watch It Chapter 1 to find out what more they showed versus the miniseries, which was cool. That they were able to show more than what they did. And my thoughts on Chapter 1 are it was paced better than the book. Actually, any of the other three would be paced better than the book, because listen, y'all heard me say that the book was one hell of a slog to get through, which it really is, and I'm not going to go back through that, so I'll leave a pin in that one right there, so to speak. So, It Chapter 1 is a somewhat faithful, it's a faithful adaptation of the book rather than the miniseries, which I'm absolutely glad about, because, like I said, the movies are actually paced a lot better than the book, but I've already said that several times in the last going on 15 minutes. But my thoughts about Chapter 1 are this. It is graphically, and by that I don't mean it's more graphic, but it is more graphic than the miniseries. But I mean, The premise of chapter 1 is great. Go watch it for yourselves. I highly recommend any of King's work. Well, movies. Some of his books are hard to get through, like I've stated over and over and over again about it. But then again, that's just my thoughts on it. And, or at least the book, there are just certain things like the middle of that book that skin crawling crap. Now to move on to chapter 2. Chapter 2 is from 2019, and it's them as adult. It's like the middle part of the book that that didn't happen in the miniseries or chapter 1. And the miniseries did have both them as kids and adults, played by different actors, obviously, because the kids were too young to play the adult versions, but you can see why. They were just kids. And chapter 2 starts out that it has awakened, and just go watch chapter 2 for your own for your subs. I think the way they brought down the clown in chapter 2 was really powerful, and if they bring it back 27 years after 2017, that would be kind of cool, but we'll see what happens, what the future holds. But yeah, I'm having a blast doing these King retrospectives. I'm your host, Isaac Brummett. Please like, subscribe, share with your friends, leave a comment. Peace out, y'all. Have a good one. I know I sure as hell will. Peace out, y'all.